summer of labor unrest for you and your ministry. How will you ensure that students get back to the classroom to focus on just that, on the classroom? You still have contracts to negotiate with the support staff, the support workers. There's still some issues out there. How can you make sure that students return to doing what they're supposed to be doing in school, and that is learning?
Well, and as you know, we've already achieved tentative agreements with both the English Catholic teachers and the public secondary teachers. As I speak, people are working hard in Toronto, negotiating with both the French teachers, the teachers who staff the Francophone boards, and also with the English public elementary teachers. So those negotiations are ongoing, and we're going to work very hard to get 2 more tentative agreements by the time school starts next week. In terms of the support staff, we also have ongoing negotiations have been going on with the support staff. We've had a lot of dates with CUPE over the last few weeks, and also with the OSSTF support workers, the education support workers. And those 2 groups actually represent the majority of education support workers in the province, so we have very active negotiating tables with the education support workers as well.
Earlier today, there was an announcement of a new financial aid plan for students to modernize the whole financial aid system. Shouldn't the focus still be on reducing the cost of education for students so that they don't come out of post-secondary education and whatnot with massive debts and starting their life with a massive debt, as opposed to providing them with more money?
Well, and first off, I just want you to understand that that falls under the jurisdiction of the Minister of Training Colleges and Universities. But when you look at the data over the last few years, one of the things that we've done with the Ontario Student Assistance Program is that we actually have focused on making sure that there's financing available for students who come from lower income families, that there is financing that's particularly targeted at students who come from a family where nobody's ever gone on to post-secondary before, because we find sometimes they need a bit of an extra nudge and a bit of extra help to get them into post-secondary. We have a new program starting up called Experience Ontario out of my ministry. But when you put all those different initiatives together, what we actually see is that the participation rate in post-secondary education, both colleges and universities, has actually gone up quite dramatically over the past decade. So we know that the financial assistance that we're putting in place is working, because students are voting with their feet, as it were, and we see the participation rate going way up.
One of the other things to add on that is, and one of the first things we did when we came to government is we restored grants to students. And so you'll always have, you're right, I think we need to continue to invest in post-secondary education, which we have done, and locally here, there's new infrastructure that we've provided here to give students greater opportunities to learn. We passed legislation creating an independent charter at Algoma University, so that meant young people that were taking, for example, a 4-year degree that had to go and take the 4th year in Sudbury could now take that here at home. So that's saving them money by being able to stay in their community to get their education. So while we continue to invest in infrastructure and resources for post-secondary education, one of the first things we did when we came to government was we restored grants for students, right? Those had been cut in 1994, and the last government never restored them. So you could not get a grant in Ontario as a post-secondary education student. You could only get a loan, right? And that's, the entire issue that you're really talking about here is saddling young people with debt. So we restored grants in Ontario, and we significantly increased the number of grants that were provided, and also increased the amount available. So there's a number of strategies that we're trying to use, and to your point around costs, we're very mindful of the fact that post-secondary education is expensive, and we need to continue to make those investments to keep costs down for students.
Anyone else?
Minister, getting back to the support workers, the 55,000 unionized workers, they did meet in Toronto Saturday, and they voted overwhelmingly to carry on to work to rule if they didn't have their own agreement. You mentioned that your department is still talking with those workers. Is there a plan in place should they go to work to rule, or perhaps escalate further?
Well, we will obviously deal with that if it were to happen, but quite frankly, I think where we need to focus is on the bargaining. We've shown that we can get collective agreements, that we can get the tentative agreements, and we will keep working to do that. So our focus is on negotiations and working things out by collaborating and compromising, and we'll carry on doing that.
Regarding the teachers, are you able to elaborate at all on any of the tentative deals, or is that still?
No, the situation with the two deals we've got, OECTA and OSSTF, is that the next step is that they be ratified. I think certainly in the case of OSSTF, they have had a meeting and recommended, the presidents have agreed that they would recommend to their local membership. But they do need to have local membership meetings and local votes, and they won't be doing that until the teachers return after Labor Day. And because the agreements have not yet been ratified, I'm respecting the ratification process of the unions and not talking about the details.
The elementary teachers are back at the bargaining table
They
today,
are.
as I understand it. They've really ramped up their specific threats in recent days of their taking strike action. Are you confident that they'll have the same tentative deal, or have the same?
I'm quite confident that we will eventually reach an agreement with the elementary teachers, just like we have with the others. So I'm quite confident that eventually we will get there. And I've said all along since the beginning of the process that the only way we will resolve the issues with any of the groups, be they teachers or education support workers, is by negotiations. And I think what we've proven in the last couple of weeks is that that's the right approach, is we'll keep working at the bargaining table, and eventually that will work in mutually agreed tentative agreements and then hopefully ratified collective agreements, and that's the way to approach it. But it's certainly been hard work, and we knew it would be hard work because we're in difficult financial circumstances, but I am quite confident that negotiating is the right approach. And you got me this morning.
This September also starts a new curriculum at the elementary school level in terms of sexual education. What can parents expect, and are teachers prepared to teach and possibly receive some backlash from parents about that education?
Well, certainly we believe, and I think the majority of people that I've talked to believe, that we need to make sure that we have curriculum that's up to date and that it really does address the health and safety issues that our children are dealing with. We know that issues like sexting and internet safety, that there are a whole new set of issues that just weren't even on the radar last time the curriculum was changed. So we know that we need to deal with the issues that our kids are facing. Certainly we've done a lot of work last spring in terms of pulling together representatives from boards all over the province and providing professional development on the new curriculum with the curriculum leads, so whoever would be the sex ed lead, the health and phys ed lead in each board. We've worked with them extensively. We've worked with ICE, which is the Institute for Catholic Education. We've worked with AFIA, which is the group that represents the health and phys ed teachers throughout the province. And so we know that there's a lot of work that's gone into preparing materials and working with our partners throughout the province.